So it's Sunday, and Sunday for me is a particular day. Looking at trying to work out what happened in my last week. Now, this was an idea that was very alien to me. No one had ever said, hey, do you want to stop and take a little time each week to have a look back at what went on in the week before? This was like, what are you talking about? And like, yes, what you should do is actually have a look at what happened last week. And if you've got kids, you'll know how quickly the weeks go. Long days, short years. But taking this opportunity on a Sunday to look back at what happened. And then introducing this very interesting idea. What is Kaizen? What is Kaizen? Are you familiar with this term? If you are, you will know the power of it. It's the basis of a particular success story over the last 30 or 40 years, which is Toyota. You might have heard of Toyota. Big Japanese car company that in the 80s took this idea of Kaizen and applied it to their entire business. What is Kaizen? The idea of Kaizen is to make very small improvements regularly. A 1% improvement made regularly. So this week, 1%, next week, 1%, the week after 1%, the week after that, 1%. But that can only happen if I know where I am. And to do that means stopping and actually looking at what happened during my week. Now, this brings up a couple of other interesting factors. You see, if I don't track what I actually did during the week, then I've got a problem. Because my memory is most likely not particularly adept at remembering repeated steps over and over and over that happen every day. Much easier to track in the moment. Tick the button, tick the box. Yep, it got done. Take a little dopamine hit at that point and then move on. Now, this does mean you've got to be truthful with yourself. If you're just going to lie about things that you didn't do and say that you did them, then this is a problem. This came up today. My son just got offered a shift, 5 till 9 tomorrow. Now, we're driving to Brisbane 5 till 9. And in the text message, instead of saying, hey, we're driving to Brisbane to catch the flight the next morning, he said, we're driving to Brisbane to catch a flight at 10 p.m. I was like, change it. Go to the truth. Why? Well, because in that moment, if he chose to lie, then he has to remember that lie. If he tells the truth, no worries. Doesn't need to remember. Doesn't get exposed later on when they say, well, how was the flight? And he goes, yeah, it was great. We had wonderful views of the desert. And they're like, what? I thought it was a night flight. And what happens in that moment? Suddenly, that small, insignificant lie gets carried across everything else in his life. It's like, well, did you really go surfing? Did you really go to school? Did you really study? Because you are a liar. So you've got to be willing to track with the truth. I had this happen to me. One day, I showed up and in the fridge was a green smoothie. I get half a point for drinking a green smoothie. What's going on with the half a point? Well, that is the tracking score. You get half a point if you drink a green smoothie. Why do I drink green smoothie? Well, it gets me a little bit of greens every day. I chuck in a bunch of ginger. I vastly prefer fresh. Spinach, ginger, avo, some water, bit of salt, mint, banana, happy days. Half a point. But I come home and what's sitting in the fridge? The green smoothie from the day before. Damn it. Here's what's interesting. I checked my tracking and I ticked it off. I'm like, oh no. What am I going to do? So I unticked it. At that point I had, as far as I'm aware, now obviously what I described with my son just directly applies to me now. But I thought I had about 182-day streak of hitting all of the points in my morning routine, some of which get done in the afternoon if I don't get them done in the morning. But nonetheless, 182 days or so before that, I thought I'd hit them. And so when I saw this green smoothie, part of me was like, hey, maybe one of my other family members made it. Like, do you get how crazy that is? It's like, oh, I really don't want that to be what it is, but there it is. And so I unticked the tracking. And I was like, okay, when I drink it, then tick. Not when I make it. Making it and drinking it, not the same. But the idea here is that we are tracking what happened during the week. Did you study? Did you train? Did you meditate? Did you send a note of appreciation or love to your family members? Track, set you up. And what's all of that doing? Well, it's building a power and a certainty in you. And then when it comes to Sunday, the opportunity opens up to look back at what happened. And then the Kaizen comes in. Because with that accurate data, I can then go, okay, what happened? What can improve by 1%? And that Kaizen Sunday, the opportunity to look at what happened and what will happen in this next week, making small improvements. Perhaps it's just one small improvement, but over time, Sunday by Sunday by Sunday by Sunday, the improvements get made. Realize that the time will pass. Time will pass anyway. The question will be, will you take the opportunity in the moment on the Sunday to look at what has been done and then seek the improvement? I've made a tweak to mine. It used to just be me, but now I'm opening up, trying to open up my heart to hear what God has to say. What's God got for me for those small improvements? And perhaps that can be an opportunity for you too, to take Sunday to look an hour or two, what happened this week and what needs to happen in the week ahead with a small 1% improvement, a Kaizen improvement for your life. If you want some help with this, some further training, head over to GraduateMedicine.com. Check out the clinical certainty training there. This is extremely useful and perhaps is the advantage that you're looking for if you haven't passed your exams. Know that the ability just to get an advantage from having exam prep is gone. Those times are gone. It is a requirement that you take some kind of exam prep course. But your opportunity to produce more in your available time, this is the opportunity that comes from clinical certainty. And if you've passed your exams, guess what? You're in a far more challenging position because you do not have that deadline that the exams represent. And instead, it's every week, an opportunity, but only if you know to take it. So if this is of interest to you, if you're a doctor, if you're under stress, strain, if you're struggling with the changes coming through and you'd like a proven methodology in order to increase your clinical certainty, then head over to GraduateMedicine.com. Hit the button there, it'll take you through a training and give you an opportunity to have a deep dive into this methodology for living. All right, that's all I got for you today. This completes my 7 days of going live, which is pretty awesome. And tonight, I'll jump in and take the opportunity to look at what worked, what didn't work, and what needs to change and improve by 1% this week. All right. Look forward to seeing you on another episode of this very soon. Have an awesome evening. I hope you got some value from this. Look forward to seeing you very soon on another episode. See you then.